Okay. I think we're streaming now. Sorry for the bumpy start. Well, nobody knows about the bumpy start because I'm just going to delete those other streams. Um, but I actually sat here and talked to nobody for about a half an hour and didn't realize that I hadn't actually started streaming. I just had OBS open. It wasn't actually streaming. Am I streaming now? I think I'm streaming. I have the button indicated that I am in fact streaming now. So welcome. Yep. So welcome to the wide and wonderful world of wavy waves of bullshit. We're talking about Ryan Beard's content nuke. Now, I've already watched 17, 18, 19. Not quite that far. Okay, but I think I've watched about 2 minutes of it. And I don't mind. We'll go back. We'll watch it again. But it took me a while, and I had some brilliant takes. Oh man, I was saying the most amazingly smart, brilliant stuff. It was super based and amazing, inspiring. But I forgot it all, so we're gonna, we'll forget about that. It was probably stupid anyway. We are getting back into the content nuke. Now, it does not look good for Destiny. He's got a lot of bullshit going on, a lot of stuff. This is the big picture. Destiny harms women and children. All right. There's a lot of this, right? These are our kind of big blocks that are going to kind of support Destiny harms women and children. I have hypocrisy, lying. I don't know if I'm going to keep hypocrisy as like a pillar of like it sucks, but it also kind of, it's weak. It's one of the weakest pieces of evidence. And it's kind of not the point. Remember that old Norm MacDonald? He's like, a lot of people say the worst part is the hypocrisy. And he's like, well, I think the worst part is the rapes. So I agree, Norm. The hypocrisy is something that sort of is underlying and through a lot of this, right? It's all of these other things are things that he speaks out against yet does himself, right? So by definition, hypocrisy will be this, I dare call it an emergent property of the rest of this, right? And we'll be able to say, yeah, because he's been found to lie, harass, dox, sell crypto scams, make and show revenge porn, to be pro-genocide, to have social orbiters, and to do sexual assault. Harassment, I'm separating. This is going to be just like him, like, sicking his fans on people, flaming people online, harassing fucking violent imagery messages when he wishes people get raped and stuff. Sexual assault is for when he does it in person. And he did it. He did it live on stream. He even admitted that he did it. It's a true, oh my God, he admitted it. So, if anything, I guess take a point away from hypocrisy. Half a point. We'll probably be putting that point back, but, he admitted it. So, these are kind of thing. Being pro-genocide, again, this has to do with his beliefs, his positions, less his actions. Although his beliefs, the actions of a person like this would also include their speech, because they're talking to like throngs of children and suggestible young minds all over the place are listening to this Destiny guy and be like, this guy's pretty cool. He makes some good points. Do not believe his lies. He's got shitty politics, and he doesn't treat people like people. So, let's go. We're going to watch part 1 of the content nuke. Ryan Beard, take us home, buddy.
Around the end of 2011, Destiny sexually assaulted a woman on his live stream. I'm not using the word allegedly here because we have video of him doing it, and he has openly admitted that it was sexual assault.
I would say that in my streaming career in the past, like totally publicly, like I completely and totally like assaulted a girl on stream before for like fucking 5 minutes or whatever. I got super fucking drunk and was like grabbing her fucking breast the entire time.
Later, Destiny has attempted to downplay his actions here by tweeting, "I was drunk off my ass, literally for the first time in my life." And he said that at the time, he didn't understand how bad it was, but now, looking back years later, he understands that it was reprehensible behavior.
And at the time, I figured like, oh, well, you know, we're gonna fuck anyway, like it doesn't matter, like she's chill or whatever, like I'm drunk, it doesn't matter. Like at the time, I'm thinking like, you know, oh, it's not a big deal. But like looking back, I'm like, okay, wait, this is like really, really, really reprehensible behavior.
But if you go back and watch the clip, immediately after assaulting her, he says, "Listen, I'm gonna apologize to you so much tomorrow."
Listen, I'm gonna apologize
Yeah,
to
say
you
sorry.
so much tomorrow.
Oh my God. So that's interesting. Him talking about how, oh my God, so like back then I didn't even realize how bad it was bad to do that. 'Cause I like sobered up. I want to hear that excuse again.
Like look matter, like
Was reprehensible behavior.
and at the time I figured like, oh, well, you know, we're gonna fuck anyway, like it doesn't matter, like she's chill or whatever, like I'm drunk, it doesn't matter. Like at the time, I'm thinking like, you know, oh, it's not a big deal. But like looking back, I'm like, okay, wait, this is like really, really, really reprehensible behavior.
At the time, I remember thinking, it's whatever. We're gonna fuck later. Whoa, that's fucking weird. That's so fucking rapey. 'Cause she did not at all appear like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this guy later. She like recoiled in horror when he touched her. Like that did not seem like good energy.
Back years later, he understands that it was reprehensible behavior.
And at the time I figured like, oh, well, you know, we're gonna fuck anyway, like it doesn't matter, like she's chill or whatever, like I'm drunk, it doesn't matter. Like at the time, I'm thinking like, you know, oh, it's not a big deal. But like looking back, I'm like, okay, wait, this is like really, really, really reprehensible behavior.
But if you go back and watch the clip, immediately after assaulting her, he says, "Listen, I'm gonna apologize to you so much tomorrow."
Listen, I'm gonna apologize
Yeah,
to
say
you
sorry.
so much tomorrow.
Why would you need to apologize to her tomorrow, Destiny? Is it maybe because you understood that what you were doing was wrong? To me, this shows that even in his incredibly drunk state, he knew that what he was doing is wrong. And obviously, being drunk does not absolve you of your actions. Otherwise, we wouldn't criminalize drunk driving.
You've come here to this stream to defend drunk drivers to me.
This is a common tactic with Destiny where he'll half take accountability for something, but half try to downplay it by saying, "Oh, I was so drunk at the time. Oh, I didn't understand how bad it was at the time." But I'm calling bullshit. You understood that what you were doing was bad, even back when you did it, because you were an adult, not a baby. According to this woman, Destiny has never directly apologized to her, even though she would like him to. She acknowledges that he has indirectly apologized on his stream, but my question is, did he apologize on his stream to save his reputation, or did he apologize because he was genuinely remorseful? I will allow you to answer that question for yourself as we go through more of Destiny's pattern of behavior from over the years. In 2012, Destiny shared private nudes of a woman he had been sexting named Blue Tea with his his friends. Destiny will often claim that the reason for his actions are because he was provoked into doing them and he had no other choice.
I'm kind of being pushed into playing my entire hand.
But here, there was no provocation. He just thought it would be funny to share this woman's private nudes with his friends and joke about how fucking hideous her face is compared to her beautiful body. And he also insulted her because he thought she looked like Shrek. So he shared a woman's private nudes without consent for the purpose of degrading her. In response, Blue T hacked Destiny's Twitter and tweeted out pictures of his dick. Obviously, I condemn this woman's actions. She posted revenge porn of Destiny, which is never justified. But don't forget,
Okay. I think this is his first. This is the first like victim that I think he mentioned by name. He mentioned other people by name in the intro, but I want to keep track of all this kind of stuff. We're gonna call these victims. And on one hand, we have this avatar, or what do you call him? Screen name, which is Blue T. All right. So we're kind of keeping lists. We've got a timeline. Oh, actually, we should put this on the timeline. When did this happen? I hate Reddit things. They always say 2 days ago. Like, when was it screenshotted?
and joke about how fucking hideous her face is compared to her beautiful body. And he also insulted her because he thought she looked like Shrek. So he shared a woman's private nudes without consent for the purpose of fucking hideous. He just apologized to her. An adult, not a baby. According to this woman, Destiny has never directly apologized.
Okay, this is not Blue Tea. This is Mia Rose. So that we got to put her as well because she was clearly victimized first. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking of the nude sharing thing, but this is Mia Rose. So with Mia Rose, that was just fucking SA / harassment. It was both. It was constant harassment with SA sprinkled in. Let's call it Rev Poor. And I'm going to assume also harassment as well. When did this happen?
But I'm calling bullshit. You want drunk state, your clip immediately sensible behavior. Literally
For like fucking 5 minutes later.
Around the end of 2011, Destiny.
Around the end of 2011. Man, we're going back. So, let's, I guess, we can adjust the size of this timeline. But I'm just going to say 11's going to be all the way back here. What time of year?
Going to be. Around the end of 2011, Destiny sexually assaulted a woman on his live stream. I'm not using the word allegedly here because we have video of him doing it and he has openly admitted that it was sexual assault.
I would say that in my streaming career in the past, like totally publicly, like I completely and totally like sexually assaulted.
All right. So that was Mia Rose in late 2011. We'll just call it late 2011. What happened? SA Sorry, I already forgot her name. Emily? Mia. Mia Rose. (2011) 2021. Decades. It's always the case, man. It's not months or years that they get away with it. It's decades. So fucked up. All right, let's keep going.
A girl on stream before for like fucking 5 minutes or whatever. I got super fucking drunk and was like grabbing her fucking breast the entire time.
I'm curious, when is that happening? When does he talk about and make his excuses for that when he's like, at the time, back then? Is this around the same time?
In my streaming career in the past, like totally publicly, like I completely and totally like assaulted a girl on stream before for like fucking 5 minutes or whatever. I got super fucking drunk and was like grabbing her fucking breast
There are timestamps or
the
anything?
entire time. Girl on stream before for like fucking 5 minutes or whatever. I got super fucking drunk and was like grabbing her fucking breast the entire time.
Later, Destiny has attempted to downplay his actions here by tweeting, "I was drunk off my ass, literally for the
Oh, here we go. Oh, this is in 2024 that he's talking about the incident, but it happened a long time ago. I was drunk off my ass literally for the first time in my life, and every person in that environment was enjoying it at my expense." That's not how you say, like, I bought alcohol for everyone, and that's not a fucking big deal. Like, dude, that guy, at his own expense, bought a bottle of fucking rum to share with his friends. They were enjoying it. What do you mean they were enjoying? Every person in that environment was enjoying my fucking sloppy sexual assault of this woman. I was drunk off my ass literally for the first time in my life. Okay, and then he says, I shouldn't have touched anyone, but please don't sit here. When people use the phrase sit here or sit there, sometimes I like to just imagine that sentence ends right there. But don't sit there. Like, because it almost sounds like they're getting interrupted by the dog or like someone taking a chair that's occupied. I shouldn't have touched anyone, but please don't sit there. Please don't sit there and pretend you give a fuck about an event from 15 years ago. What? Okay. Don't sit here and pretend you give a fuck about an event from 15 years ago. That is some bullshit. That's some bullshit. Because Ryan said, I'm not surprised you joke about your history of committing SA. That's the Destiny we all know and love. Does it sound like Ryan Beard is sitting here and pretending he gives a fuck about, quote, an event from 15 years ago? Why would... Okay, let's think of the choice of words of an event. Because, like, we're not talking about an event. What does an mean, even? An is called an indefinite article. An office. It's like, hey, you sexually assaulted your colleague at work. Why would you care what happened at an office? Well, that's fucking stupid. That's not a defense, right? If it happened at an office. And if I say you did something at that office, well, you don't get to say an office anymore. Unless there's something about offices that one should inherently never care about. So if something happened 15 years ago, well, what's being implied by Destiny is that no one, not that they should, but no one does care about anything if it happened that long ago. Like 15 years ago is enough for it a full and complete reset. Anything that happened then has no relation to anything now, right? 15 years ago. Why? Why not 14.7 years ago? What about 13 years ago? Can we care? Can we acknowledge anything that happened further than that? I mean, obviously we're throwing out a lot of history and stuff. Living history, I mean, like people who are still alive, who are sitting at computers streaming on YouTube, right? That's officially going to be prehistory. MySpace is part of prehistory. If nobody, because otherwise, if he's saying, "Say here, pretend you give a fuck about an event from 15 years ago," we're led to believe that events from 15 years ago are never worth giving a fuck about. Especially if I did a crime in that time. We should all not be caring about that. Why? Nobody should be giving any fucks about what happened back when I was doing crimes. That's an old time. We don't think about that anymore. And if you're talking about it, it's like you're virtue signaling to everybody that you give a fuck about this. An event from 15 years ago. You gotta be more specific, man, because an event can be anything. Anyone can care about anything from any time. But, I suppose, I don't even understand the value of pretending to care about an event. We're not talking about the event. We're talking about what you did. And how, you joke about it. You're like, "Oh my God, I was so drunk. Haha, wasn't that funny? First ever beer." That's some bullshit. All right, Ryan Beard's doing great. He's pointing out everything, just constant reasons, completely new reasons to hate this guy.
First time in my life. And he said that at the time he didn't understand how bad it was, but now looking back years later, he understands that it was reprehensible behavior.
And at the time I figured we're gonna fuck anyway, it doesn't matter, she's chill or whatever, I'm drunk, it doesn't matter. At the time I'm thinking oh, it's not a big deal. But looking back, I'm like, okay, wait, this is really, really, really reprehensible behavior.
But if you go...
And that guy every time he's talking, he's playing a video game. Is that one of his things? All right. That's fucking skeezy. I mentioned before that's rapey and weird. That he's like, "Oh, we were gonna fuck anyway," and then when we see the reaction that he actually had from the actual clip, the woman who he's assaulting is really creeped out by him. She's hates it. Hates being around him. Does not have any this does not have the energy of oh, they're just flirting before they both want to go do it.
Go back and watch the clip. Immediately after assaulting her, he says, "Listen, I'm gonna apologize to you so much tomorrow."
Listen, I'm gonna apologize
Yeah,
to you
say sorry.
so much tomorrow.
Why would you need to apologize to her tomorrow, Destiny? Is it maybe because you understood that what you were doing was wrong? To me, this shows that even in his incredibly drunk state, he knew that what he was doing is wrong. And obviously, being drunk does not absolve you of your actions. Otherwise, we wouldn't criminalize drunk driving.
You've come here to this stream to defend drunk drivers to me.
This is a common tactic with Destiny where he'll half take accountability for something, but half try to downplay it by saying, oh, I was so drunk at the time. Oh, I didn't understand how bad it was at the time. But I'm calling bullshit. You understood that what you were doing was bad, even back when you did it, because you were an adult, not a baby. According to this woman, Destiny has never directly apologized to her, even though she would like him to. She acknowledges that he has indirectly apologized on his stream, but my question is, did he apologize on his stream to save his reputation, or did he apologize because he was genuinely remorseful? I will allow you to answer that question for yourself as we go through more of Destiny's pattern of behavior from over the years. In 2012, Destiny shared private nudes of a woman he had been sexting named Blue Tea with his friends. Destiny will often claim that the reason for his actions are because he was provoked into doing them and he had no other choice.
I'm kind of being pushed into playing my entire hand.
But here, there was no provocation. He just thought it would be funny to share this woman's private nudes with his friends and joke about how fucking hideous her face is compared to her beautiful body. And he also insulted her because he thought she looked like Shrek. So he shared a woman's private nudes without consent for the purpose of degrading her. In response, Blue Tea hacked Destiny's Twitter and tweeted out pictures of his dick. Obviously, I condemn this woman's actions. She posted revenge porn of Destiny, which is never justified. But don't forget that the situation that provoked this was Destiny maliciously sharing her nudes without her consent. On Reddit, Destiny replied to her by saying, I can't imagine how you can think that consent. Posted revenge and tweeted out purpose because he thought fucking he just
I'm kind of being pushed into playing my entire hand.
But here, there was no provocation. He just thought it would be funny to share this woman's private nudes with his friends and joke about how fucking hideous her face is compared to her beautiful body. And friends, they're doing them and he shared private nudes. Genuinely remorseful. I will allow you to answer that question for yourself as we go through more of Destiny's pattern of behavior from over the years. In 2012, Destiny shared private nudes of a woman he had been sexting named Blue Tea with his friends. Destiny will often claim that the reason for his actions are because he was provoked into doing them and he had no other choice.
I'm kind of being pushed into playing my entire hand.
But here, there was no provocation. He just thought it would be funny to share this woman's private nudes with his friends and joke about how fucking hideous her face is compared to her beautiful body. And he also insulted her because he thought she looked like Shrek. So he shared a woman's private nudes without consent for the purpose of degrading her. In response, Blue Tea hacked Destiny's Twitter and tweeted out pictures of his dick. Obviously, I condemn this woman's actions. She posted revenge porn of Destiny, which is never justified. But don't forget that the situation that provoked this was Destiny maliciously sharing her nudes without her consent. On Reddit, Destiny replied to her by saying, I can't imagine how you can think that people will never ever talk about anything personal or private amongst their friends. Maybe I'm just stupid, but I can't see myself caring at all if you shared pictures between your close friends, especially given the fact that I'd never see any of them in real life. So, in this comment, Destiny is admitting that he did send the nudes without consent, and he's attempting to downplay his actions. A couple years later, when one of Destiny's friends named Bob7 allegedly shared a woman's nudes without her consent, Destiny said that this should be life-destroying.
Bob7 shared nude photographs of multiple women after pressuring one to post
Life-destroying. Downplay his Destiny is admitting that he did send the nudes without consent and he's attempting to downplay his actions. A couple years later, when one of Destiny's friends named Bob7 allegedly shared a woman's nudes without her
So I don't know when this was. We're gonna make it on another layer. I can move it around. But I like this. I'm curious. Sometimes it's nice to nail down when they did a thing and when they said a thing. So let's get a quote again. What is it?
her consent, Destiny said that this should be life-destroying.
Bob7 shared nude photographs of multiple women after pressuring one to post one without their consent. But I do believe that these are relatively life-destroying revelations.
Relatively life-destroying. Is my life destroyed? Yeah, relatively destroyed. relatively life-destroying for someone else to do it. For someone else to do should be life-destroying. So, that's pretty rich. That's a rich meatball right there. For what he did to Blue Tea. Just gonna kind of sort of color code this. Maybe you know that this is just a little supplement, you know. Should be relatively interesting. All right, let's keep going.
But when Destiny does it, he justifies it by saying that he wouldn't care if someone did it to him. This is known as the personal preference fallacy, arguing that something isn't wrong simply because you wouldn't care if it was personally done to you. Even if Destiny wouldn't care if someone shared his...
I don't remember if I was even streaming, but I was squawking about that for a while. That's exactly what it is. I'm glad there's a name to it. A personal preference fallacy. The treat everyone the way you want to be treated, but like a dick fallacy.
His nudes, which I doubt, that doesn't make it okay for him to do it to someone else. And a couple years later, Destiny demonstrates that he knows that sharing nudes is wrong by laughing at this clip of someone explaining how it's wrong.
The guy sent the nudes to like his buddy, and the buddy sent it to the other buddy, and it just like the whole school had her nudes.
Wow.
Right?
That's cray.
That in and of itself is another example of like violating consent. Like, even though for so long we were trained to be like, oh, consent has to do with like like sex. Stuff like that, but, like,
Did you guys know that if a bitch breaks up with you and you send her nudes to everybody, even that's wrong, guys?
Him laughing like this is him sarcastically showing that he obviously understands it's wrong. So I think even back when Destiny did this, he understood that it was wrong. He's just pretending like he didn't understand that it was wrong to avoid taking accountability for his actions. Destiny has a long history of really not liking when women post about their negative sexual experiences online. Real talk, opening up about quote-unquote your rape and shit on Twitter is incredibly fucking weird and should never have been normalized. I have no idea why the fuck people encourage others to trauma dump on social media. It's insanely unhealthy.
I love how his user handle is the Omni Liberal. It's fitting. So he's responding to someone saying, what the fuck, dude? I understand going after small accounts that start up with you, but literally all she did was open up about being SA'd. I don't understand how that culminated in you laughing about her, but the least you can do is apologize, not whatever the fuck this is. Real talk? I can hear his, like, smug little fucked up, like, real talk? Opening up about your rape and shit on Twitter is incredibly fucking weird and should have never been normalized. I have no idea why the fuck people encourage others to trauma dump on social media. It's insanely unhealthy. Wow, dude, that is the fucking words of a predator, dude. It's like, why the fuck are all these fucking people talking about the shit that I do to them? Why won't these fucking victims just shut up already? Like, who wants that? Except for the predator. The guy who's victimizing people would sure love it if it wasn't so normalized all of a sudden to start talking about when people raped you. Man, remember the good old days when people were just scared into silence forever and just like took their like shameful secrets to the grave, and then all these like predator dudes just got to kind of like bust anyone molest anyone, rape anyone they want, and they're like, you're not going to talk about it. That would mean you're a slut. The Omni Liberal. I mean, liberals, it's what you get. This I mean, this. Those aren't even. I don't like liberals, but that's not even.
This was in response.
Like good, like liberal people are supposed to be the ones like who have at least like lip service to victims. This is such like straight up like alt-right woman hating bullshit. It's like even over the line, like where they would probably couch it. They would say stuff like, I'm not saying you can't tell anybody. In fact, usually they encourage them to immediately report it to the police, right? This is so fucked up that he's like just grandstanding, because you get, it's this kind of, I think he's just like pure ego, and like all he cares about is winning a fucking argument. So he'll just take the argument like up another conceptual level. It's like, hey man, what you did to her was wrong. You should apologize. Well, bro, what she did was fucking weird, and I'm honestly, I have no why our society has normalized this kind of bullshit that people like her do. It's insanely unhealthy. Like, that is like such a fucking concern troll. Like, I'm just worried about your mental health. Look, I would apologize for laughing at your rape, but I kind of have to teach you a lesson not to ever talk about it, because it's not healthy. Because, you know, if you go around talking about your rape, then people are going to laugh and ridicule you. So you better not do it. Oh, you did it? Well, I'm going to laugh and ridicule you and then call you a fucking asshole for even doing that in the first place. What a fucking dick. Oh, man. We don't need any of this shit. We don't need the fucking timeline. We don't need any of this. He's fucking trash. Just from that tweet, man. I mean, with everything we've seen so far, like, how can you do that? How could you say that, man? When is that? 2022, February 24th? Let's see, 12. I don't know how these are going to line up, but let's try it like this. Maybe I'll type them. So we got 2012. 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 18, 19, 20. '13, 14, 15, 16. Have there seriously already been these many years? Did we have an 18? I don't remember 18. What was I doing then? I think we skipped that one. Oh my God. It's scary how many years there's been. Space these out a little bit. Can't believe there's already been this many years, and I'm not even to the present yet. And then we need a couple more. We need 21, 22, 23, 24. Man, why are all these years going by? Why they gotta go by like that? Why years gotta make me cry like that? Time moving too fast for my cat. My cat don't like that. And I don't like that much either. 'Cause I wanna go to a snorkel. When do I go to a snorkel? All right. So here's all the years, man. It's just weird to see them all lined up like that. And I think this is going to have to be... Oh, so I have 12 twice. So that's 2012. Might have to be a little bit longer. It depends how much detail we're going to put in here. But wait, what am I doing? Okay. Timelines. I wonder if does anyone else like timelines? I often have these kind of things where you're seeing like a discourse or an argument, and somebody will just do some timeliney bullshit. They'll just say like, well, then this, and then that, and then it's really hard to hold all this stuff together on the timeline and remember if it was really this then that, or if perhaps it was that then this. You know what I'm saying? So timelines can help us with that because we can just like look at it if we forget. And I like it. So he does this tweet in 2022. That actually, I have capabilities that I didn't really remember. One of them is I can just like take screenshots and plop them into this document. So that'll be helpful shorthand. I don't have to like type everything. So this happened in 2022. I didn't capture the timestamp. All right, let's get a proper picture of this tweet with the timestamp. Then we don't have to keep remembering when it happened. There we go. All right, so that happened 2022. Here is when he got all in a pissy fit that a woman had the gall to be honest about how she survived a sexual assault. Real winner there.
This was in response to a woman sharing an allegation about how she was stealthed. She was allegedly having sex with a man. She had established the boundary beforehand that he needed to wear a condom during sex, but in the middle of sex, he removed the condom, which is a form of rape. I agree with Destiny that sometimes trauma dumping on social media can be unhealthy, but sharing allegations on social media obviously has the possible benefit of holding people accountable for their actions. And putting the words "your rape" in quotation marks obviously implies that he's casting some level of doubt onto her story. It's one thing to wait to see evidence before you fully believe someone's story that they post on social media. It's another thing to instantly cast doubt on their story just because you're annoyed that they decided to post about it on social media. This controversy started because Destiny had retweeted someone who tweeted, "If you knew he took off the condom and you couldn't even bring yourself to say anything, you shouldn't be having casual sex." A bunch of people got mad at Destiny for retweeting this, so then he tweeted, "If you are noticing someone is taking a condom off and you can't say anything, you probably don't have the emotional maturity to engage in sex. You should probably just grab a caretaker or something and stick to masturbating to furry porn. Sorry." People got even more mad at this tweet, so then he tweeted, "Sorry, I want to apologize for my last tweet. You should treat every single woman you come across like a retarded child who's incapable of voicing an opinion."
This dude is gonna fucking... This guy's gonna piss me the fuck off. Alright? This dude is gonna piss me off. He's been pissing me off. But when you lob bullshit like that at me, it stops me dead in my tracks. All right. So he's already got a bullshit argument. He says if you're noticing someone taking condom off and you can't say anything, you probably don't have the emotional maturity to engage in sex. The emotional maturity to engage in sex. Oh my God. Okay. First bit of bullshit. If you were noticing someone's taking the condom off and you can't say anything, that is our premise. That is the first clause of the sentence. It's double claused. It has two actions. You notice and you can't say. You notice it, but you can't say. Now, can't say anything. What does that mean? It means either you don't have permission, it means you're not able to, or it means it is impossible. Maybe you have a ball gag in your mouth. It's impossible to. Maybe you're nonverbal. You don't have the ability. Maybe you communicate through sign language. Now, you can't say anything. There's also the other one, which is that you are scared to say anything, right? So, just another thing is Destiny is reframing what is the claim on the other side, right? And that claim was that describing this form of rape, which is where you basically just keep crossing the boundaries that someone has asked of you, right? He's saying like, well, if they did it, you should have been able to say something to stop them in that moment, right? So it's not that you can't say anything. I don't think she was saying, I was trying to say no, but I was unable to. Right? And in this case, it was like, I just didn't have the emotional maturity. So this is all Destiny's framing of it. Right? Is that this person is thinking, I don't like this, but I don't really know how to say that I don't want this to happen because it's going to complicate this interpersonal relationship that I obviously value in some way. But the person I'm valuing is not reciprocating the respect that I asked for them. So I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Okay? That's Destiny's framing of what has happened. You're noticing someone taking the condom off and you can't say anything. We're not to assume that he means you physically can't. I think he understands that this is about unwillingness to speak up because of fear, right? If when Destiny was typing out this tweet, if I had said, instead of saying can't say, why don't you say are too afraid to say? Would he still agree that that is basically the argument there, right? Because if we're to understand the main clause of this, if you notice and you can't say, what's the conclusion? Well, then you, the victim, probably don't have the emotional maturity to engage in sex. So what do we take that to mean? It's obviously not impossible for an emotionally immature person to engage in sex. That happens. They do it. What you're saying is that's not advised, right? You're advising that people should wait to grow up to develop not only physical maturity, but this emotional maturity, right? Once I presume there's some level of maturity when someone feels like they can make a decision to do it. I mean, who there is going to be able to say, are you ready? Are you emotionally mature enough? I mean, emotional immaturity is something that so many people have. We can see it at people in very many different stages of life. They're in our families. They're in our classrooms. They're in our offices. They're of all ages. My mom is so emotionally immature. My dad can't control his fucking emotions. Right? All of them have sex. All of them have had sex. All of them will have sex. None of them were tuning into Destiny's show to decide if he, advises them to go ahead and have sex now. Go ahead and be sexually active. But hey, not if you're emotionally immature, right? How does emotional maturity come into this? If someone's too afraid to speak, what is an emotionally mature person who's afraid to speak? Are you saying that she's not courageous enough? She doesn't have the courage? I don't know, man. This is such a bullshit argument that it's sometimes the bullshit is coming from several different directions, right? Because we got a bullshit premise, which is in two parts, in the form of a conditional sentence. If this, then that, right? The if this part has some problems because nobody said she couldn't say anything like it was impossible. What I think everyone actually understands is that she was too afraid. It was too complicated. And maybe she lacked whatever it is that makes amazingly brave survivors who are able to sort of stop sexual assault in its tracks, right? You know what? If you have to, cut someone off, if you have to stand up and speak and say, no, that is enough, that might be at the point where the line's already been crossed. It might not be, but obviously nobody knows where to draw the line. So usually one would cross the line and then someone else is going to be like, oh my God, he crossed the line. There's at least got to be a little delay, right? So by the time, so even if she did, right? Even if she, let's say she noticed him taking the condom off and she did say something. And she declares, I almost got sexually assaulted, but I spoke up about it. Because if he had done what he was trying to do, that would have been rape. Is Destiny going to come in and be like, well, he doesn't have the first premise of his argument. He could say, even though you spoke up, you probably don't have the emotional maturity to engage in sex. It sounds like Destiny doesn't even think that if the person who takes the condom off, against the will of the other person, if they don't get any immediate pushback or no, right? Does that guy just think he did a fine, normal thing? Because she didn't say anything. I mean, yeah, earlier she said not to do that, but then in the moment, it did it anyway. Is Destiny going to say that that's not a problem because, she should have said something? Well, what if she did say something? Would you then admit that that would have been a problem to go against her will. She did say it, right? She said it before. It's like, let's only do a condom, right? So you don't have to just like hear it again in order to know that's what the will was. Okay. He says, if you notice someone taking a condom off and you can't say anything, then you probably don't have the emotional maturity to engage in sex. Sex engaged. As if it's some like thing you have to like make an appointment for and like sign up for, take lessons. I don't know if I want to engage in this activity. Oh my God. You should just grab a caretaker. Grab a caretaker? So this is this is not part of the argument. This is just snark, right? The argument is in this first part. If you know this, then you probably can't do that. You should just grab a what does grab a caretaker mean? You should just grope a nurse. Just find a nurse and grope her. Stick to masturbating to furry porn. Sorry. We're not even close to being off of bullshit mountain, because this is the setup to his bullshit. So, let's summarize the tweet. Part 1, I'm an idiot. Part 2, I'm a dickhead. Part 1, I'm an idiot. Part 2, I'm an absolute unrepentant huge dickhead and an idiot. You should grab a caretaker or something. Grab a caretaker? What the fuck does he mean by grab a caretaker? What a fucked up gooner. So, let's tweet. Keep it hidden. Here's the next part.
And stick to masturbating to furry porn. Sorry, people got even more mad at this tweet, so then he tweeted, sorry, I...
And here's his little sorry not sorry little comeback. He says, sorry, I want to apologize for my last tweet. So now he's like, oh, what? Oh, I guess we should just treat every woman like a blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, sure, include the R slur. You know how like people say, like, we can use slurs. We just have to make sure they're in the right context. And I agree. I went to music school, and we use the adjective or the verb, I guess it'd be a noun, retardando, which means to slow. And we would use the verb to retard as a verb meaning slow something, right? We're going to retard a little at the end of measure 7, that kind of thing. So yeah, the context is everything. When people say don't use it as a slur, it's exactly like that. Now, I dropped my magical pen. It's the only way to write on my pad, but I've lost it. There it is. It got wrapped up in my blankets. I have a little lap blanket to keep my legs warm for when my cat doesn't feel like it. Okay. Ooh, boy. This is a good content nuke. It's a good nuke about a bad guy. And I had a bad attitude about this guy anyway. I did not realize how fucking fucked up he was. I thought he was at least out here like, because everybody says he's got this great reputation for liberals and liberal values and shit. But he he's like a fucking alt-right, like little 4chan creep. He's an alt-right 4chan creep. So, in response to his dog shit tweet, which is complete bullshit and totally fucking stupid, where he said, hey, ladies, if you don't have the steadfast courage to resist all the manipulative advancements from an abusive partner, then maybe you just don't have the emotional maturity to engage in sex. Oh, like, yeah, so this woman's just like, oh, cool. I will just abstain from engaging in sex, and now I don't have to worry about any of that sexual assault that happened to me. In fact, it was my fault. I should have said something. Like, that's the world that Destiny wants. And so people are like mad at this. They're like, hey, that was some fucking dog shit. Because, you know, I'm not the only one with eyes or a nose that smells. I mean, that is just a heaping, sloppy, wet bullshit. So it's, yeah, we know. And then he has the gall to be like, oh, what? Oh, okay, fine. I guess we'll treat every single woman like a blank child who's incapable of voicing an opinion about literally anything. Okay. It's the petulant child argument. What is it? So, premise one. Don't. What am I thinking? Because if I said it's harmful to expect all women to always prevent all abuse from happening to themselves. That's too many words. What? So, because that's his first this is my first premise. It is harmful that we expect all women to always prevent all abuse from themselves, towards themselves, why is this harmful? Well, we can get more into this premise, but the idea is that it's this kind of shit. It's that if you didn't report it at the moment, how about this? We'll talk more about reporting, because essentially this is the why did she wait so long argument, right? But it is harmful to expect all women to report all abuses or torts against them immediately. We'll say that. I imagine there's some sort of version of this idea that is behind the criticism to the first tweet, right? Because he's like, if you can't say anything, then maybe you shouldn't have been having sex anyway. Ignoring the fact that, well, they already did, and people do, so fuck off. Like, what do you mean, man? Someone got robbed walking down the street. Well, honestly, they probably just don't have the vigilance to be walking down the streets. Okay, but they were, and they have to, and they did, and so fuck off. You're not answering any of these questions. Right? So, this is basically the idea. It's harmful to put that burden on all women that they absolutely must do that. However, it is true. Remember, we said all. Some, I don't know, I'm not talking percentages, I don't know, but a number, some women do report all abuse immediately. Because while we don't have to expect all of them to do it, we will understand that some will do it. Right? You know what's not at all in any of these? Is this, let's call this premise question mark. And this is the one that Destiny wants us to sort of pull from this argument. He's saying now, no women can ever speak up. No woman can ever speak up. That's what is this? What is this? Where did this come from? Some women do report their abuse. Some women don't. Some victims do, some victims don't. Right? And then he's like, oh, okay, I get, because this is all sarcasm, you should treat every single woman you come across like a bleep child who's incapable of voicing an opinion about literally anything. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. About anything. Not even about abuse. About literally. So he, you know what? All these people were attacking my tweet, and they were saying that women are literally never allowed to talk about anything. And so I was just like against those people because they were so, I think that's misogynist personally to say that women are R-word child who, and they literally can't do anything. Yeah. This is the you never let me do anything argument from little, you may know this argument from little baby children. It's called the we never have anything to eat when they don't let you like have McDonald's today. I'm going to starve because you said we can never ever eat again. Sure, buddy. I said no McDonald's. We've got leftover chili at home. I hate leftover chili. We're never going to eat again. So, that bullshit, I see this version of shit all the time, and it's so petulant, and it's often very hard to counter because you don't know where to begin. Right? How do I even approach this bullshit? It's just bullshit up and down. Sometimes it's nice if there's just a little bullshit, because then you can sort of just say, well, I agree with this, I agree with that, but that's bullshit. With this, the bullshit, it's like a fractal. You know, the closer you zoom in, then you realize it's just more of the same bullshit, just sort of curled up into itself. It's insane.
I want to apologize for my last tweet. You should treat every single woman you come across like a retarded child who's incapable of voicing an opinion about literally anything. Ideally, you would bring her dad along to every fuck so he can guide her through the process. First of all, she did clearly assert her boundaries before sex. She just struggled to reassert her boundaries when this man started raping her because this made her so uncomfortable. I agree that if you struggle to reassert your boundaries during sex, this could make it more likely that you would end up being harmed during sex. And we should obviously encourage people to assert their boundaries during sex as much as they possibly can. But rather than show empathy for women who struggle to tell men to stop because they're so terrified while they're being raped, Destiny decides to insult these women's emotional maturity and call them retarded children. According to a neuroscience article in the journal
Ryan Beard, I agree 100% with his take on it. He's able to say it with the proper context and compassion for the realities of the world, where you could say, hey, maybe it's not a good idea if you're the type of person who's engaging with someone that you're not really comfortable drawing your lines, drawing your boundaries. That is something we can talk about for before anything happens. That's not what you talk about after something happens. Right? Like when there's a car accident, they don't go like, well, let's teach you how to use your rear view mirrors again. Okay? While you're bleeding out. You know? Okay, car driving 101. Here's your turn signal, asshole. And you're like bloody, like on the street, like, help. I just went through my fucking windshield. They're like, yeah. That's because it's called a seatbelt, you dick. There's some comedy there. I bet there's gotta be, there's something to that. Maybe I should make a cartoon of, because that response, I mean, it's coming from Destiny. I typically, in my head, it's Ben Shapiro or someone making that kind of argument. It's a Ben Shapiro, it's a Pierce Morgan. It's one of those really punchable fucking right-wing grifter, hateful bigot moron. It's a Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson would absolutely do this. So if we had Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, Destiny style accident response, when there's a car accident and someone's bleeding, someone's holding their neck, they can't stand up, someone's in shock, you gather around and you go, all right, we're the first responders, we're on scene, we need to know who the fuck caused this, whose fault was this. That's the first thing we had to do. Second thing, hey asshole, they're called mirrors. It's called a turn signal, all right? Sit down. We're going to play a little video here. We're going to teach you. We're going to have to go back to basics. Look, you were just in a car accident, so you're not one to talk, all right? Okay, the car accident. Guy who just got in a car accident is going to tell me, the driving instructor, how to fucking deal with a post-accident situation, okay? You fucked up. You didn't signal. Okay, if you'd left the house 5 minutes later, none of this would have happened. All right, it's your fault for being late and being lazy. All right, so everybody just calm down, stop being difficult, and you're gonna have to pass this Safety driving defensive 101. Right here, right now, on the scene of the crash. Stop bleeding all over my paperwork. There's something to it. There's something there. All right, let's get back into the content nuke.
Journal Nature Human Behavior, victims frequently report immobility during rape and sexual assault, often using the term freezing. Neuroscientific evidence suggests fear and threat can block cortical neural circuits for action control, leading to involuntary immobility. And this sort of immobility can manifest as physical immobility or verbal immobility. A 2017 scan.
And I have no reason to believe that any of that would have to do with emotional maturity, as Destiny's dumbass says, right? I mean, yeah, freezing up of fear is literally like a standard thing that happens to people. And you can absolutely get frozen in fear and not be able to speak. It's happened to me a lot of times. That's literally my fear response. I cannot speak. Or if I can, it's not anything that I'm actually thinking. I become complete, just babble nothing. Right? I remember one time I was at a church youth group thing, and they had like a little cafe where they were serving food and stuff, and they had a microwave, and it was behind everybody in the cafe, but if you were standing at the counter, you could see into the microwave. And the microwave, the thing that was inside of it, they were microwaving like a sandwich in a bag, and the bag caught fire, which was pretty obvious what would happen if they knew about what not to put in a microwave. But anyway, nobody saw it. I was the only person who saw the fire. And I could not speak. I was like, and I finally slammed the counter and shouted fire really loud. And people were like, whoa, okay, calm down. It's just at the microwave. And I was like, I didn't mean to scream it like fire, but nobody else saw it and I couldn't speak. It just didn't happen. Right? Freezing. And am I emotionally immature? Maybe. I don't think I am. I think I have now. I don't think I am. Was I then? I don't know. I don't know how. Whatever my. It doesn't matter, by the way. Emotional maturity. It's just, it's like this thing that you could never know yourself if you have or not. It's just this bullshit. I mean, it's not like a bullshit concept, but it is bullshit if someone is saying that they know how to measure it for you and then prescribe certain engagements that you are recommended or not recommended in partaking of. It's like, if you're not mature enough, you shouldn't smoke weed or drink or have sex. It's like, yeah, okay. But once someone's 18, you're like, you good? Yeah, I'm good. I'm 18 now. It's like, all right, see ya. They're not checking you don't get an emotional maturity license. There's no one checking any of this. There's no measurement. It's just if you are emotionally immature, that might be reflected through difficulties in your relationships with people based around that maturity. And by the way, being immature is another way of saying being young, right? It could be. A mature person is generally an older person. An immature person is generally a younger person. But it doesn't have to be directly correlated with your age, right? It could be a bit of neurodivergence. That's like, oh, they don't know how to interpret it, and they just call it immaturity. Like, if someone has borderline and they're gonna like cry a lot, maybe over something that you wouldn't think is at all worth crying over, you don't have a right to victimize them or blame them for being victimized or anything like that. Especially if their own like condition or divergence, pattern of behavior that afflicts them, or that comes with them, shall I say. It's something you have to have compassion for or understanding of. And for anybody saying, well, you should have, you could have, you're not old enough to, talking about it as if you just asked them, well, would you recommend I do this? Like, that's not the situation. It's something that happened. Going back to the analogy of the car wreck and the paramedics just trying to give driving lessons.
A Scandinavian study reported that 70% of the 298 women who had visited an emergency clinic within a month of experiencing sexual violence had experienced significant tonic immobility or paralysis when it happened. So when women struggle to reassert their boundaries while they're being raped, this isn't because they're retarded children with no emotional maturity.
Oh, that's the other thing. I'm listening to him and I'm agreeing with Ryan Beard here, but I'm still mad about another thing. That Destiny's response to someone being raped is maybe you're not old enough to get raped. Maybe you're not mature enough to get raped. Like, how fucking fucked up is that? It's like, well, it's like you shouldn't have got raped. That's his response to it. Maybe you're not mature enough to get raped. Right? He pisses me off so much.
Maturity. There are actual neurological reasons for this behavior. When the streamer Hans of Harkir brings up the fact that these women could be having a freeze response when they experience stealthing, Destiny disregards this and says that a victim couldn't possibly have a freeze response just from seeing a man take his condom off.
Freeze up is some shit where you're like in a fucking
This dude, his voice is so fucking annoying. I hate him. I hate his face. You know how like Ethan hates Hassan? That's how I feel about him. Except the used to like him part. Because I did used to think he secretly was a Democrat. Ethan should have made his whole thing just about Destiny. They should have just both nuked him.
traumatic situation and somebody's doing some crazy shit. Not like you look down and you see that some asshole is trying to slip a condom up.
Some asshole. You see, every time he takes the real situation, right? And it's like, let's compare what really would be rape, or what really would be a violent sexual assault. And then let's just talk one extreme and build it up as much as you can. It's like, then, yeah, maybe I could see doing that. And then when we're describing the other side, we're going to minimize it as hard as you can. Right? So he said, if you see some guy taking off his condom, what about if it's the guy taking off the condom that he's going to put his dick into you? Is that a little different? Can we weigh those scales a little bit differently? In that case, you asshole! Destiny is the worst, man. So here's my argument. It's so big. It's so strong. Or no, here's what you could have done. Here's what you should have done. Here's what, your point's only true in situations like this. But what that bitch did, it was like this. It was just some little thing. Nobody cared. That was that. It's not when some guy, as if you just walk into a room and you see a stranger across the room take off a condom, and then in that moment being paralyzed with fear. I mean, fuck, if you didn't expect to see the man in your house, that would absolutely be terrifying. That would be one of the most terrifying things in the world. A naked man with a boner that you don't know is just suddenly in your house, and he's just plopping a condom off and menacingly staring at you. That's fucking scary. To see some dude taking a condom off. Let's make this a little bigger. Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that it's a little bit actually easier to talk to strangers sometimes than it is to talk to our own loved ones. Why is that? Strangers have this great benefit of we never have to talk to them again and really kind of like worry about them at all. They're more just someone we can unload on. In fact, I don't even know anything about that person. Who was that? I don't remember his name. There was a kindly Colombian man. He told me, like I told him about myself, and he pointed me the way to the lodge, and I told him I would never forget him. Was it Carlos? Was it Andre? I don't remember. But, this argument's seemingly getting bigger. Because you're not just seeing some guy take off the condom. It's your intimate partner. Intimate partners can be very hard to deal with because you love them, but you hate them, but you love them, but you hate them, but you love them, but you can't live without them, and you have to live without them, but you can't live without them, and you love them, and you hate them, and you hate them, and you love them, and it's all so weird, and it's very, very scary. And especially like if you just made up from a big fight and it's like, oh, I don't want to fuck it all up. I don't want to get into that because if there's a fight, it's going to last forever. It's going to ruin the week. It's going to ruin the whole month. And you're like, I don't want another fucking shitty month. So you just keep a lid on it, hold it down, and we'll just see about next time. And I don't know, maybe we'll figure something out. If there's ever an exit plan that pops up, maybe we'll keep an eye out for it. But we really can't stir the pot today. We can't rock the boat tomorrow. It's going to be tough. Intimate partner dynamics are way more terrifying than some stranger, right? If some stranger was doing weird condom stuff naked in my house and I didn't know him, I might have that freeze up response where I'm not able to speak. But I still would be able to maybe run away or bang them, pick up a shovel, chase after him or something, maybe. But if he just like came straight at me right away, he might get jizz on me, might give me a disease. And that's enough. I don't, that's one thing. Or maybe someone has, the quick thinking to actually scream and protest and stop in that moment. And they don't freeze up. But what if you replace that person, instead of a stranger, It's someone that you're afraid of and you live with and you have children with. It gets so much bigger and scarier and worse. And if you're the type to freeze up, that's like as good a time as any where that's going to happen. When someone you love and trust is breaking promises in front of your eyes, and crossing boundaries in the moment, and you're thinking, this is a crime happening to me right now. What do I do? Destiny just has no thought or concern about any of that. He's just a dipshit who wants to win stupid fucking arguments and be horny and look like the good boy somehow. The edgy good boy. It's like he's like so like sex positive kind of, to where it's like, yeah, he's positively agrees he can do any sort of sex shit he wants, and nobody's allowed to be like weird about it. Some rape culture, it has like an element of sex positivity, where it's like, don't slut shame, but like not used in a positive way, right? Because I agree with don't slut shame. But then they're like, don't like shame a dude for his kink of like spying on girls in the window or some shit. Like he's trying to equate it to skeezy, like rapey bullshit and manipulation of like, no, technically she did consent. So, Your Honor, I have it on. We have it on paper in the recording. She denies it now, but at the time we know. It's like, the legalistic, like, well, if we draw the line somewhere, in society, we're like, this is the line, okay? Over on this side, no, you can't do it. As long as you're on this side of the line, you're good to go. All right. Who are all these dudes just like, look at how close to the line I get. Ooh, look at me. Ooh, did I cross the line? Ooh, you crossed the line a couple times. Look, I crossed the line and then I ran back before they saw me. Like, why are all these dudes just like, hey, I just hang out here all the time. This is my hangout zone. This is just where I be chilling. Right? Hey, even the best of us, we've maybe sailed close to the line now and then in our lives, right? But you get out of there. Some people, they get close to the line maybe, and then they, boing, get right out of there. But not these fucks. These guys are like, the line. I love the line right here. You can't, you liar. You told me I crossed the line. I was here the whole time, right here, 2 inches. You see that? Like, everything's one of those, like, little close-ups, in tennis where they have to do the slow-mo replay. Like, did it touch the line? I can't see from this angle. It kind of looks like it might have touched the line. No, look. Look. See that? 1 pixel. Actually, no, that's on the bad side. Oh, yep. No, I'm afraid he's not on the line. He's not crossing the line. There's nothing we can do. Okay, fair enough. But why are you here every fucking day? Why are you just like chilling? I'm right here by this line. Hey, this line, it feels really like, it's way too far this way. Didn't you think that? These guys by the line, they're like, God, can we just sort of like move this line out a little bit? These are the guys who want like child marriages and shit. There's already legislation like allowing child marriages in the U.S. going up in different states. These guys are like, let's just shift that little line over this way a little bit. Why don't we? And you know what's going to happen with all these schizo dirtbags? Are they going to stay there? Are they going to stay over here? No. They're going to follow the line because they got to be on the line. They got to get right on that fucking line and do all the liney lines of coke and just be like, dude, fuck you for saying I crossed the line. I was over here. I never crossed that line all the time. At least anytime you're looking at me, I'm over here. Nope. Oh, I just went over here. Now I'm, what are you talking about, dude? Yesterday at 4 o'clock, I was right here. How the fuck could you? Hey, talk to this woman. She'll tell you that I've always been here. She's never ever seen me anywhere but right here. But they're always on the line. That's where they're at. That's where they're hanging out. Oh, I'm just on this side of it, though. Great, man. Well, it's important that we test the boundaries. Why is that? Why is it important that we test the boundaries? Some boundaries are just not ever going to be hard boundaries, right? Some boundaries, all boundaries, maybe? Watch. Look at this. This is what the line actually looks like. The line between right and wrong, good and bad. Here it is, everybody. Give me a second. It's going to be a red line. And it looks a bit like... Nope. Looks a bit like... yeah. Looks a bit like that. The line between good and evil is blurry and fuzzy and unclear and difficult to see. And it's impossible to draw a line anywhere that's fair for everybody. That includes all the red on one side and all the pink on the other. Actually, could I do something like that? If I move this to the center line, that would mean that if I draw like a... Oops. Yeah, get right on the center line. Just there. The dark and the light. Something like that. Where do we draw the line? I did make a nice line here. What I'm going to do is give that line a Gaussian. A Gaussian. That's a good word for a blur. Oh man, last night was a total Gaussian. It's like fucking Gaussian blur filter on that motherfucker. On my brain. Dude, I went full Gaussian blur last night. I don't remember anything that happened. This Gaussian blur is going to be sick.
Oh, I'm frozen out! I can't fucking think! I don't take the condom off! I'm fucking completely frozen! Bro, what the fuck kind of 14-year-olds are you fucking? No, are you serious?
But according to a 2010 study titled Facing Freeze, Social Threat Induced Bodily Freeze in Humans, even negative social interactions can trigger a psychological freeze response in some people. The more fear someone is experiencing, the more likely they are to have a freeze response. But but even a moderate amount of fear can still induce a psychological freeze response. And seeing someone non-consensually removing their condom during sex after you've established that they need to wear a condom absolutely could cause enough fear to induce a freeze response. The way that Destiny chooses to mock these women who claim that they do have a freeze response while being stealthed is just really fucking gross. I don't know what else to say.
Oh, I'm frozen out. I can't fucking think. I don't take the condom off. I'm fucking completely frozen.
I think this is from the person who is the retarded child. They said, I've actually been raped, and saying no just made him rape me harder. I know that's what happened after he pulled out. It's just not incomprehensible that I would just walk away from that situation.
It sounds like she needs to stop having casual sex.
To be clear, I don't think that Destiny is saying it's okay to stealth people, but I do think he is choosing to mock women for something that is outside of their control. Obviously, women do have some level of control over reasserting their boundaries during sex, and we should always encourage.
I've already just let out a lot of energy and rage at the last thing he said, and his little acting out. I mean, I just don't ever want to hear that again. I'm not even gonna rewind or analyze it. I just cannot listen to that again. Sorry.
Encourage people to assert their boundaries as much as possible, but if someone is struggling to reassert their boundaries because of a freeze response when someone is raping them, maybe we shouldn't call them retarded children. After this controversy, the absolutely brilliant trans activist known as Keffels decided to make a false allegation against Destiny. She claimed that Destiny himself had stealthed a woman.
Oh yeah, meanwhile he stealths people, which is legitimately a form of rape. Insane.
As far as we know, this is totally untrue. Destiny himself has not stealthed a woman. He was just a massive asshole to a woman who was stealthed. To give Keffels credit, she did acknowledge soon after this that she was wrong and Destiny actually didn't stealth anyone.
Wait, I don't know if he did it. Wait, backing up, I don't actually know if he did it.
But Keffels, maybe consider trying to be really sure before you make these types of allegations against people. Destiny is correct that spreading false allegations like this absolutely does undermine the cause of the left. Making this false allegation against Destiny allowed him to shift his focus onto your false allegation instead of focusing on the fact that he was a massive asshole to this woman who was stealthed. Unfortunately, many of the people who have tried to take down Destiny over the years haven't been the sharpest tools in the shed. Speaking of tools in the shed, let's talk about the time that Destiny tweeted that he hopes a woman is raped to death with a shovel. In 2015, the porn star Stoya tweeted allegations that the male porn star James Dean had raped her. This tweet really upset Destiny because, as we've established, he really does not like it when women talk about their negative sexual experiences online. Jesus, why not file a fucking police report instead of tweeting this? You're fucking disgusting. What a fucking idiot at Stoya. Stephen Bennell, why don't you write us a long list of everything you feel a survivor of rape should do? Then I'll use it to wipe my ass. Survivor of rape. It's rape, not murder, not beheading, not a fatal car crash. Everyone survives rape. Get over yourself. Survivor of rape here. Hello. Want to talk about how hard it is to go on every day? Kill yourself so you don't have to live with the pain. So rape survivors should just get over it because at least they didn't die. And if they're dealing with a lot of pain or trauma because of their rape, they should just kill themselves because if they kill themselves, the pain will stop. Very cool, Steven. I have no idea why anyone has ever accused you of being a rape apologist. This should go without saying, but obviously it's good for rape survivors to file police reports to hold rapists accountable, but police reports don't always lead to rapists being held accountable for their actions, which is why sometimes it's good to post about it on social media. At least Destiny will be happy that the woman he allegedly recorded while they were having sex without her knowledge did file a police report against Destiny. Good job, Cherry. You have done things in the Destiny-approved way. Right after this, Destiny got into an argument with another woman about how James Dean didn't respect Stoya's safe word. As Stephen Bennell, ignoring a safe word and not stopping when someone asks is ignoring consent and is rape. Go fuck yourself. Kill yourself, you fucking cunt. I hope you get raped with a fucking shovel until you bleed out your fucking vag and
What
die.
the fuck,
Holy.
dude?
This right here is probably the
What the fuck, dude? How does this guy keep fuck? I don't even want to hear any of that again either. Fuck. All of that's like, remember the line? It's already way over the line. Jesus Christ, man. How the fuck is he like the Democrat golden boy? That was in 2015? What the fuck? Where's my timeline? Why is it doing that? Oh. That's right. Okay, the background. Screwing around with this, just trying to get the background right on my timeline. There it is. Trying the timeline. So all this ugly bullshit's happening in 2015. Is that right?
Approved way. Right after this, Destiny got into an argument with another gun thing knowledge did me will be happy, which is why sometimes it's good to post don't always leave rape survivors to file police reports to hold rapists accountable, but police reports don't always lead to rapists being held accountable for their actions.
This is quite an interesting infographic here. And I do like this kind of thing. I like when this sort of thing is illustrated and pointed out in an intuitive layout. And this is something a lot of people don't understand. So the rapists, the ones of these that were reported for their rape, even smaller, the ones that face trial for their rape, and finally, the ones jailed for the rape. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, I don't know, the square numbers, okay, falsely accused. We got 2 of them. Falsely accused. And, hey, let's be fair, we know of confirmed cases of black men falsely accused, absolutely falsely accused, who were jailed and sometimes executed as well. So it's called the Something Project, Truth About False Accusations. Yeah, so I don't know. I can't confirm the numbers, but this is intuitively seems correct for not only rape, but probably a lot of different crimes. Theft, I'm sure, as well. The pettier the theft, or, police don't do anything about shit like that. They're like, all right, we'll write a report and we'll, look out for it. If we see it, maybe we'll do something. But yeah. And they say, if you let all the prisoners out of jail, then there would be rapists running around everywhere. We'd start to hear record reports of rape if we did that. Maybe. Rapes will go up. It's like, yeah, okay. Because of all these that raped, these 10 out of the 1,000 or whatever that's here, I don't know. This is also just a good talking point for prison reform. Because it's like, what is jail doing? They do have a lot of people. This makes it, if you just considered rapists, you'd think there's hardly anyone in jail. But no, if we did the same thing for drug users, we'd have something similar, I'm sure the vast majority of drug users are never reported for doing drugs. And of those, even fewer face trial, and of those, fewer are jailed. I'm sure it's exactly similar. But it would be interesting to see the real data in this exact format, and we could plug in different crimes here and even different demographics and think like how many murders, you know, I guess I think most murders get reported, although there are missing persons cases, right? So it's like, oh yeah, it's just a missing person, but that's probably a murder. But that's the thing too, missing persons can also just be like you left your family and your family like reports you missing, but like you just straight up like abandoned your family and didn't tell them where you went and lied to them or whatever. That's technically legal, I think. Not to fake your death, but to just leave and not tell anyone. Once you're an adult, you're allowed to do that. So that's a weird thing with missing persons cases. But I feel like for a murder, you would have to have a body, and then in that case, it's like it's reported in that case, in that sense, right? So I don't know. Of all the murders, though, instead of reported, what we could say is caught or tried, I guess. Yeah, I mean it's the same thing. If someone reported, it would be if the murderer was caught by the use of criminal investigation and detectives and like, you know, fingerprints and shit. I don't know. I want this. I just like the infographic layout. I like having just like all the little people. There might be other cool ways to do this, like making this 3D. Make it to where like you're sort of like in a 3D space, right? And like you have all these people like in the space, so you can kind of walk through it and see just like how many rapists you have to look at before you can find one that got reported or face trial or jailed. Pretty cool, pretty interesting.
Which is why sometimes it's good to post about it on social media.
Yeah, that's fucking disgusting. James Dean, gross. I'm just curious when this was.
Survivors, you of being a rape apologist. This should go without saying, but obviously it's good for rape survivors to file police reports to hold rapists accountable, but police reports don't always lead to rapists being held accountable for their actions, which is why sometimes it's good to post about it on social media. At least Destiny will be happy that the woman he allegedly recorded while they were having sex without her knowledge did file a police.
Was that this year? Yeah.
That the woman he allegedly recorded while they were having sex without her knowledge did file a police report against Destiny. Good job, Cherry. You have done things in the Destiny-approved way. Right after this, Destiny got into an argument with another woman about how James Dean didn't respect Stoya's safe word. As Stephen Bennell, ignoring a safe word and not stopping when someone asks is ignoring consent and is rape. Go fuck yourself. Kill yourself, you fucking cunt. I hope you get with a fucking shovel until you bleed out your fucking vag and die. Holy. This right here is probably the most violent, vitriolic language that I have ever seen Destiny use in his entire career on the internet. And it just so happens to be in response to women talking about their negative sexual experiences. My question after seeing all of this is, why does Destiny have such an intense hatred for women talking about their negative sexual experiences on the internet? Is it because he just cares so much about these women and he doesn't want them to harm their own mental health because trauma dumping on the internet can be really damaging for them? Or is it maybe because a culture where women feel comfortable coming forth with allegations on the internet can lead to women like Pixie and Cherry and Melina coming forth with allegations against people like Destiny, exposing them for being massive pieces of shit? I will again allow you to answer that question for yourself. We'll get back to Destiny treating women like shit a little bit later on, but now let's pivot to Destiny harming children. For some strange reason, a lot of people like to label Destiny here a pedophile.
All right. This is a good stopping point. We've got part one. This guy is a sick, disgusting, fucked up freak. Destiny is. And Ryan is doing a fucking great job of laying it all out. It's got everything, all of his, when he says he's gonna show you something, he fucking shows it to you. Oh boy, does he show it to you. He shows you way more than you expected. It's bad. I mean, it's good. This is a good content nuke. Destiny's a bad guy. And we hate him. Oh god, do we hate his stupid fucking face. I hate him so much already, and I'm basically 1/3 through this nuke. I didn't like him. At the beginning, I told you I didn't like him. I hate him. I hate him now. He really sucks. Good job, Ryan. I don't even need to finish it. How can there be more harming women part 2? Is he actually an... Oh, no. I don't know. All right. Let's call it a day. We will pick it up next time. Maybe we'll start doing shorter streams, and I will get better at this. But this is going well. I'm happy with this. I'm just getting hungry. I think it's a good stopping point. We'll be back next time for Is It Dog Shit? I think it is, and in this case.